welcome to the Gamers Inn. Come on in, pull up a chair next to the fire. It looks like you've had a long journey. I'm your host, Jocelyn, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Ryan. Hello, Ryan.
Hello. How's it going?
I couldn't remember if I unmuted my mic or not.
I thought you were gonna say I couldn't remember my name.
Oh, there's that too. It's been a long week, people. A long
Yeah,
week.
but it's a long weekend. No, it's
What?
not a long weekend, is it? Damn it.
It is totally a long weekend, which I
Oh,
didn't realize. It was my first week at work at my new
oh,
job
good.
this week, and it's the first time in about 4, maybe 5 weeks that I've actually worked all 5 days in a week. It was
Uh-huh.
a long week.
That's how 5-day weeks work.
I
They
know.
usually end up being a long week. I can tell. I can tell you that. Uh,
Dislike.
yeah, this week went by super crazy slow. I was saying to you when we were sort of prepping the show via text, like, man, it feels like Friday's been here like 3 times in a row. Like, when's this weekend gonna start? So it's here.
Yeah, I woke up this morning and thought it was Saturday. It
Oh,
wasn't Saturday. I literally turned my alarm off and I was like, oh, stupid Jocelyn, setting your alarm on a Saturday. Tisk
oh,
tisk.
just
Yeah, and then
what
I
are you
woke
gonna do,
up.
right?
I had about 10 minutes to get to the bus stop, and I was like, well, shit.
Oh,
I literally was sprinting to the bus stop. The bus driver, like, slammed on the brakes and then gave me the worst look of life. And I was like, okay, if you're going to slam on the brakes, that's your business. Don't get mad at me for that.
weird. I never really understood that. Like when it comes to bus drivers, like it's weird. Like if you or like me grew up in the country, the only experience you had with bus drivers were the nice bus drivers that took you to school, or like in the school buses. But if you live in the city, you kind of build up that immunity to these crusty assholes that drive these giant aluminum cans around town. Now, I know I'm generalizing. There are some nice bus drivers out there, but my experience is that the assholes outweigh the super nice dress up on Halloween bus drivers. You know what I mean?
Are
And
there
those
actually
experiences
city
always
bus
suck.
drivers who dress up for Halloween? Because.
Yeah, you've never seen that? Maybe that was just
No.
in that one movie. Like, what was it? No, it was a TV show, Scrubs or something. But I just feel like, you know,
Okay, now you're actually like mixing up fiction with real life.
uh,
Oh,
pretty
Ryan,
sure
we have a
Scrubs was a real thing that janitor is to die for. Um, in the case of these hilarious. But how's your okay? We already covered how your week went. Bus drivers hate you.
Yep.
He unsubscribed immediately uh
She
from Gamers
actually.
In. I'm not gonna touch that. Um, I don't know. I don't even. I don't have anything. But great. It's the weekend now. What's up? What's up?
What's what? What?
What's up? What's up with the weekend? You keep jumping in and out. What are you
I
doing?
know.
You have
I'm
a show to do.
sorry. I'm telling you, dude. I'm way out of it. So my old job was a 10 to 6 job. This one is an 8 to 4 job with a much longer commute. I am not with it. I am so tired.
All
I've
right.
kept all of my evening activities the same, which means I'm
Mhm.
still going to bed at like midnight, 1 a.m. But then I have to be up at 6.
Okay. Well,
Bad news
sorry, Josh. It
bears.
sounds like Smite's canceled tonight.
Oh
So,
no, I will power through.
oh, okay. Good, good, good. No, okay. This is something we don't necessarily cover on the show because we've kind of sworn off talking about Smite, but a question popped into my mind. How late do you actually stay up? I usually determine how late you stay up based on my coffee and Facebook in the morning because I'll be able to judge based on what time Joel posts pancake pics on Saturday mornings.
uh,
And when they're in the afternoon, boy, golly, do you know that Jocelyn stayed up late playing Smite. So answer me this. How late do you usually, once the pussy goes to bed at, can I say
there
that?
were, I don't know, but there were air quotes on that for the audio listeners. So,
Can
for
I
the
say that?
record, I'm pretty sure we don't call him that.
Well, I can't
Although I'm
remember.
usually pretty drunk by the time Ryan leaves, so
I
I
think
might have
we,
called him that.
is the P word bad? Is that fallen out of favor?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't
It
keep
may have.
track.
I can't either. Yeah, it's so hard to be politically correct these days. Anyways, we'll say wimp and we'll call it
Yeah.
even. But the wimp who goes to bed at 2 in the morning. What? How late do
Which
you
is three
stay
in the
there?
morning my time, just so everyone is clear.
Right?
It was a good hour and a half, 2 hours after that I went to bed. It was
How do you
about
do
5
it?
a.m., which is how I know Extra Life is going to be awesome because I'm totally going to rock it. I'm just going to get drunk and play Smite, and I'll be up for like all the days.
Yeah, and we didn't forget about the contest we had running, even though we didn't mention it once this week. So I don't know if we want to like give it away this week or we didn't discuss this prior to the show, but
Oh, I thought we were gonna let it go for 2 weeks.
oh yeah, let's do that. See, we were always going to let it go for 2 weeks.
I totally
Um,
thought that that was the plan.
I can't remember what
So
the plan
let's
was.
tell everybody, in case they missed the last episode,
Yeah.
we are giving away a copy of The Wolf Among Us full game. I guess season one. Yeah,
Mm,
season one. So
yeah.
all the episodes of season one. All you have to do is write into the show on your medium of choice, whether that be Facebook, Twitter, email, whatever you choose. Probably not Google Plus though, because we're not going to see that. Let's be honest. I
No
think
one, no
Ryan
one uses
maybe
that.
sometimes checks the Google Plus account, but I can't be sure.
I don't know. I
um,
try.
and all we want to know from you is what you want to see in an Extra Life Smite drinking game. So
Mm.
basically, you have to give us a rule for our drinking game. So every time we kill another player, drink. Every time we die,
Wow, no,
drink.
not that one. The
Yeah, no.
first one.
We reserve the right not to use these rules because some of them will, result in one game and then passing out. And we don't want that. We want this to be a marathon. So,
Smite is scheduled for like 2 a.m. to the end of the stream,
yeah,
which, depending on what time zone we start in, probably going to be on average 6 to 8 hours.
probably,
So,
yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, be gentle. And it's not best drinking game rule that wins, it's random. So,
Yeah, everyone goes
submit
into
whatever
a
you want.
draw for a
Mhm.
copy of The Wolf Among Us. So, if you want to contact us, you can do so with all of the information that we give you at the end of the show. Ha! Thought I was going to give it to you now, didn't I?
If only it wasn't available online, you know?
Yeah, there's that.
I
But
guess.
yes, there are many ways to contact us. So give us your best Smite drinking game rule, and we will put you in a draw for a copy of The Wolf Among Us. So you have that. You've got some deals here, dude. What's going on?
Yeah, since Dunaway doesn't come on the show, I mean, we've extended it. No, we haven't. I'm going to steal his stuff here. So we got some deals that one will last all month and one is expiring very soon. So IGN has another free game of the week month. That should say. I don't know why it says this week. IGN free
I
game of
was
the month.
wondering. I was like, I did not hear about this free game of the week thing. What are you talking about?
Change it right now, everybody. There we go. Yeah, you could tell I did it because you could hear it like
Mm-hmm.
your ears. So IGN free game of the month. If you remember a couple of months ago, it's a week again. We had a giveaway with IGN had a giveaway, not us, of Wolf Among Us season one, episode one on iPad for free, which is a $5 value. Well, they've matched that with Walking Dead season two on iPad and iPhone, um, and you get episode one for free. And it's super simple. And I'll paste. I'm not going to paste the link in because that'd be embarrassed. I just get blocked. But Jocelyn will paste the
I will
link in the
paste the
chat,
link.
and we'll
So
definitely put it on the notes.
you've played something. Was it Walking Dead the first one on the iPad?
I played episode one because it went free just to kind of see what it was like because I hadn't played these games on iPad and I wasn't, it worked, but I wasn't super impressed, mainly because the release schedule was super staggered with that game. But with Wolf Among Us and Walking Dead season two, Telltale's gotten really good at having those release dates like same week. And so that's why I'm probably leaning more to, if it weren't for all my save files being on a specific platform, I'd lean more towards getting it on the iPad because I hear it's actually a phenomenal, it's a great play. I'm not going to be able to do that long word.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal? See, you can't even do it. It sounds wrong. Try it again.
Phenomenal. Uh,
No. Phenomenal. No. See, I can't.
oh man, this is gonna be an excellent episode, people. I can feel
Yeah.
it.
But
So
the other deal is The Last of Us. You remember The Last of Us?
I do. I'm still toying with the idea of getting a PS4, maybe. So, Last of Us is definitely driving that decision.
It's a fantastic game, Jocelyn.
That's
You
what
should.
everyone keeps saying.
But I feel like you're the type of person. The longer you hear how fantastic a game is, when you actually play it and it doesn't live up to those fantastic things,
I am a very high expectations type person.
I think. And I also, and this is not a slight, and please don't, and nobody take it this way. I know Jocelyn won't because she's super awesome. But you chat room, you might kind of cut
You
in a
leave my
conclusion.
chat room alone.
Your chat room. I'd like to think that they're everybody's chat. No, they're not. Um,
They have
the
loyalties.
They do. What is it? Team Jocelyn,
Team
team
Jocelyn.
Team
That's
Jocelyn?
the
Yeah.
only one you need to know. Hashtag Team Jocelyn.
Yeah. Oh, there are others. I've seen them, but they're not quite as loud. Um, The Last of Us,
I even
they
get, sorry, hashtag Team Jocelyn in iTunes reviews.
do you really? Wow.
I wonder if you search like hashtag Team Jocelyn in iTunes if Angry Chicken will come up. That'd be
There's
amazing.
probably like one dude using the Google Plus hashtags, and it's probably someone using the Team Jocelyn. Or maybe Team Garrett. I don't know.
No, no,
No, don't. That's not a thing.
no.
Um, I'm open to whoever pays the most, says Fagon. Well, I'm sorry to say that you could pretty much pick any team because we all pay the same. Zero. The Last of Us
Yes.
remastered, PS4. It's kind of a junk deal because the other game, the one on PS3, came out like almost exactly a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing a remake so close and having it be full price, they say it's a discount, but it's like $10, which is negligible. But EB Games, the upright citizen that they are, stand up guys. You may know them for such positive acts as. Anyways, they did a really cool thing this week where if you traded in your PS3 copy of Last of Us, they give you $30 off of The Last of Us Remastered.
That's
So,
pretty good trade-in value. I remember when I traded in, I don't often trade in games because usually you just get like nothing for them. But
mhm,
I traded in Halo 4 within the first week of release, and
mhm.
that got me $35. So,
Yeah, the trade-in deals, like getting $30 for a game that's a year old on a last gen system, um, that's pretty stellar. And I know that EB Games is looking to capitalize on, how uh, fantastic The Last of Us was received. So by getting all these, the influx of PS3 copies, they can probably sell them for probably $40 on PS3. So they're making a profit.
mhm.
Um, but I don't know. I wasn't gonna pick it up because I just played it a year ago. I felt like I could wait until it goes down in price. But at $30, I actually paid full like for it $30, and $30, like that's a really good deal for a new next gen game. And I would consider The Last of Us new enough to consider the PS4 version new, and it actually
Mhm.
includes all the DLC too. So it's about
Well,
an
that's
extra
good.
$20 of value there. Uh,
So EB is do they have EB in the States or is that strictly an EB Canada deal?
The Canadian deal is available till the 4th of August, and the American deal actually expires tomorrow at the end of the day. So we'll post this episode tomorrow, and you'll have a chance to go check it out. I've actually talked to a couple people. Eric Mahler was thinking about getting Last of Us remastered, and I said, "Hey, once you get that PS3 copy is going to be useless, so you should probably trade it in for
Mm-hmm.
$30." It's like that's a great idea. I actually thought it was only going to be offered in the States, which is why I didn't bother. But then I got an email from EB Games saying like, "Hey, we're doing it too." So
Nice.
yeah, it's definitely a great way to get an extra game on your PS4.
Very cool.
I haven't played it yet. I didn't have time, but
Something that we have both been playing is
mm,
Hearthstone. And again, I'm not going to go totally into Hearthstone. As I'm sure everyone knows, we have a very in depth Hearthstone show every Monday night. So I'm going to let Ryan talk mostly. What did you think about I know, shocking, right?
what?
What did you
No,
think about the Plague Quarter? First of all, did you have any trouble getting in at all?
no, I didn't have any issues.
I didn't have any issues either. And I mean, I've heard of a lot of people having issues,
Mm,
but for the most part, and I don't know if this is just because they're the most vocal, but everyone that I've heard that's had issues seems to be in the States. Any of my Canadian Hearthstone player friends have not had any problems. Did you try to buy it after it was released, or did you buy it last week?
Um, that's the reason I actually thought I would talk about it. Is I feel like I'm doing something different from all the hosts on the Angry Chicken, who I believe are purchasing it outright. Correct? You've all bought it.
Garrett and I are buying it for sure. I've already bought it. I'm not sure what Dills is doing actually because he has an insane amount of gold. I feel like he would just
Right.
use gold.
I'm behind on the reason I said that is I'm behind on my instance, and I was listening to an episode from a month ago, and anecdotally he had said he was going to buy it
Hmm.
outright for the price. But anyways,
That could
I
be. I tune him out. He talks too much, so.
sure. But no, I ended up picking it up by grinding gold, and I figured something you don't get on the Angry Chicken is sort of like a super noob. Like I am a super noob when it comes to Hearthstone. Like I'm using cards that I'm sure are faux pas on that show. Um,
That depends. Raid leader?
uh, we had this conversation like 8 months ago, and yes, I have Raid Leader in my deck. Please
Uh.
don't kick me off the network. Please, I'm learning. Okay. I don't understand why you don't like Raid Leader. He increases the attack of
It's
everybody.
a topic for another show.
All right, fine. Eye for an eye, though. I hear you guys like that.
Oh, well, one of us does.
Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure what the deal. Oh, see, there's the chat room. Eye for an
Yeah,
eye.
I forgot. Chat room knows.
We did it at the exact same time. But no, I hate that card. That card's lame.
The best.
Is it you? Okay. That's how I was able to get it. You just, chip away at her armor, and eventually she comes right out running. Um, no, but Hearthstone, I grinded gold. It didn't take long. Like to get 700 gold in a week, actually might be impossible. I had like maybe 200 gold sitting around,
Hmm.
but no,
Did you do any arena or did you just do your daily quests?
I just did dailies, and get my wins. I finally got my first card back. You're right. Not sure why I wasn't grinding for that every month. That was super easy. I
Right.
think I'm a lazy gamer, Like I don't want to put forth effort, you know. I just
They
want to sit
even
down
give
and
you
play.
bonus stars. Like, you
I
don't even
know.
have to go all the way from 25 to 20, which is winning, like, maybe 10 games?
The sad part is that I'll never be an angry chicken again,
Yeah.
Like I started
Well, you
August off.
will. You
Oh,
will.
okay.
Because if you grind up to 20 last season, then you start at like 23. If you don't play at all, then you'll drop down to like 24. And if you don't play at all in that season, you'll drop down to Angry Chicken again. So it takes a couple of seasons, but it can be done.
I'm so hardcore that I'm just gonna quit so I can be an angry chicken again. No, that's not. I'm actually really enjoying my time with Hearthstone. I haven't jumped into the Plague Quarter yet, but I have purchased it.
Have you
Um,
done the Arachnid Quarter then? Did we talk about that last week? I think we did.
I think we touched on it, but I actually got a chance to beat it and then do the class challenges, and
Hmm.
I really enjoyed the class challenges because I hate deck building. I'm sure I'll get around to
That's my
loving it
weakness
eventually.
as well, is
Yeah.
deck building. That's why I'm finding heroic so difficult, is
Hmm.
because you have to build a specific deck to beat them.
Hmm.
Like, there is some flexibility, obviously, but you have to have certain things in your deck in order to actually beat things. So I'm really really struggling. I think I have an idea of what I need, but then it's like, oh, but you only have 30 cards, and then so I get most of what I need, and then I have to take some stuff out, and I'm really really bad at finding that balance.
Hmm.
So I've been struggling with heroic. I only just beat heroic from last week, and then I tried heroic from this week, and it owned me so hard. It
Yeah.
was really frustrating, actually. I played it for
I
probably 3 hours on one boss, and I just couldn't beat it. I built like 18 different decks, and I was just like, ah, I hate this right in the face.
Yeah, I don't even think I'm gonna try heroic because my decks are all oh man, they're all suggest a card builds. So again, please, A Move Network, do not pull the show. I'm just not a big Hearthstone person. I'll get there eventually. I'll start looking at the cards. It's just like when I want to play something, I'm not invested enough to sit down and actually figure it out. I just want to play.
Yeah,
And
and that's kind of what I think Hearthstone excels at, is that if
mhm,
you just want to sit down and play, there are mechanics available to you where you can just sit down and play. There are pre-built basic decks that you can use, and then there's the suggest a card feature. If you want to sit down and try to pick up magic, you can't. You have to have some kind of understanding. You have to build a deck. You can't just sit down and say, "Okay, go." So, I mean, Hearthstone is very open to new players and returning players and all the rest of it. And I think they've done a really good job. I think Nax is really great because it
sure.
gives you those class challenges. It lets you understand the mechanics of the class a little bit more. And it brings more content to the game for people who don't necessarily like playing on the ladder. And I've seen a lot of articles over the last, like, week talking about, like, oh, why are they bothering with this? Why don't we have observer mode yet? blah 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 blah. And it's just like, yes, observer mode is really important, and yes, the community, especially the esports community, wants it, but not all players are into esports. I mean, Joel's mom plays, she's not into esports, she wants single player content. And
Mhm.
I think that there's a lot more of those single player people than the
Yeah.
community gives credit to. And I
Yeah.
think that this is a really good step forward into giving those single players and those new players more content without forcing them into PvP type play.
I've seen a lot of that lately with a lot of different geekified stuff. Like you look at Hearthstone and the community, and like you were saying, they were being very volatile towards like what Blizzard's putting priority on. We've seen it with Warcraft, like where Blizzard's like, we're gonna remake 1 to 80 at a time, and people are like, "What are you doing? Don't build more raids." Because the most vocal people are the ones that are the 10% that do all the raids. Not the people who just want to go in there and level, right? And it's same with Hearthstone in the sense that like, what are you doing? Like we talked about it last week. Like Ashley's little sister plays Hearthstone, and I could barely get her to play like Rayman or Mario. So it's really cool to get these new people into the game, but they need to be catered to because for the last 20 odd years in the gaming industry, we've been catering to the hardcores, and that's why you saw the Wii, be so successful in the first 3 years of its lifespan because Nintendo was strictly catering and mind you, they got really lucky with a specific group of people. And, you see the same thing with comic books and the comic book movies in the sense that, a lot of people are really focusing on these movies, whereas others are like, well, you need to read the comics. It's like, well, more people are watching the movies, so that's why they're putting more effort into the movies. Like the comics will come, the movies will come, but
Yeah.
it's just a really people need to be more understanding of why companies would focus on not them. It's
Yeah.
because there's more people out there to get money from.
Speaking of WoW, I
Mm.
actually did something super cool last night in WoW, and that's actually the reason I was unable to make it to Gamers and Game Night. So, when I say we, I mean AIE. So that's the
Hmm.
Horde guild that I'm in on Earthen Ring. Had an event where we went and killed all of the alliance leaders, and I'd never done it before. We also have an event in February where it's a vow renewal. So any couples who want to get married in WoW or renew their vows in WoW, which there's more than you'd think, it's really a thing.
Mm.
Basically, what we do as Horde players is go PvP our way into Stormwind, hold the chapel, let them have their ceremony while we kill the guards, kill any of players that come in, all the rest of it, and then we, parade out of Stormwind in this like wedding procession and PvPing all the way. And
Wow.
then so I did that back in February, but we didn't actually. We attempted to kill Varian, who's the king, but yeah, we didn't have enough people and we weren't really coordinated. And the whole point of that time was to get the ceremony done and to hold the church. So
Mm.
I participated in that, and then we did another one that was supposed to be a little bit more challenging. We went across the Veil, and I think Ryan, you were actually there for this. We went across the Veil
Yeah.
before 5.4, before it was destroyed, and took the Alliance Shrine, and then held that for probably about an hour, and then left. And that was fun.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a little bit more challenging because it's the hub of this expansion, so we thought that there'd be a little bit more resistance. But being a PVE realm, it's not that challenging sometimes. Like you
Yeah.
have to you
Because
have to stay a really long time, and you have to get a lot of alliance people to log in and start talking and be like, hey, wait a minute. And most of the time they just get really pissed off, and they just kind of stand there like glaring at you but like not flagged.
yeah, yeah, because it's a PvE server, and
Yeah.
some would see that as griefing. I mean, it's using the systems that you have, access to, and I think on a PvP server, you're going to get the audience that definitely looks at that and sees a challenge,
Hmm.
a challenge accepted rather than, oh, what are you doing here, guys?
Yeah.
But it's
So
cool.
last night there were, I think, we had almost two full 40-man raids, so just
Wow.
under 80 people. which is why I didn't record it because, yeah, this spell effects going off is insane. Like, all of our people barely even fit into the room, and everybody's like, there's hunters with pets, and there's warlocks with summons, and it's just,
Of course.
it was crazy. Plus, all the mages and the healers with that cascade spell, it was just like, pew, 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 stuff all over the place, and I was just like, wow, if I was trying to record this, my computer would just die.
Just a puff of smoke would come out and it's like doghouse.
Yeah. Even as it was, like, we took the boat to Exeter, the Draenei island, and when we went from like Darnassus on the boat and then like loaded into the Exeter, like probably half of us got disconnected because it was just kind of like, whoa, whoa, what do you mean there's 80 people who want to be in this part of the server? Like, nobody plays Space Goats. What are you doing here? It's like we totally crashed the server. But it was a lot of fun. So we went around and we killed all the leaders. And then since we had two groups, the second group was the group that had already done it. The first group, which was my raid group, was the one that hadn't done it and needed the achievement. So when we went to, basically we went to Stormwind, killed Varian, and then took the tram, which I'd never done because I don't have an Alliance character who's ever been between
You went into
Ironforge
the
and Stormwind.
tram.
So yeah, we took the tram.
Ugh.
Bold.
I hope you didn't touch the hand railings.
No, but it was super squishy. Very, very tight and cozy.
That's why people love the tram. I'm sure you've heard
What
Terpster talk
happens-
about it before.
Yeah, what happens on the tram stays on the tram.
Did it stay on the tram though? I hope
no.
you got checked once you got back to Orgrimmar.
And then so we went in to kill the dwarves, but the thing about the dwarf leaders, it's a council, so there's 3 of them.
Sure.
So group 1 tagged boss 1 and 2, but then I think probably by a healing spell or something, group 2 actually tagged the 3rd boss. So then we had to go kill Tyrande and kill Prophet Valen, the Draenei guy.
Sure.
And then we had to go back to Ironforge again to re-kill the dwarves and make sure that everybody got their achievements. So I got my bear, the Black War Bear, roar,
Yeah, I'm pretty
and my
sure.
Sword of Horde achievement.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it becomes, a hate crime once you go back twice in one night. So like A&E might want to watch themselves because
Well,
like
then we went in and killed all the bankers, and then we went in and killed all the auctioneers, and then we just kind of like paraded around.
and this was just in Ironforge.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys might want to like check with HR before you do that next time because that's borderline.
Yeah, we basically went in and killed all the bankers, killed all the auctioneers, and then we were like, there's like, these guys aren't doing anything. And then there was like, I think one lone dwarf alliance player that was just like, no, and kept like charging in all flagged, and he just like melted.
Oh,
It was like
man.
80 on 1.
That's all I have to say to that guy.
Exactly. So
Is just God bless the dwarves of Ironforge. Or God's bless, I guess.
yeah.
I don't know. No, that's good. I'm glad you were able to piss off some alliance because, man, if there's only
I'm
one
sure
good alliance.
They're
That's a
probably
pissed
in
off
there
alliance.
trying to take Orgrimmar right now. That's usually what happens is that we do something like
Right.
this, and then within a couple of days they make an attempt on us. But the one thing about, and I mean, I really enjoy PvP. I almost wish I was on a realm that didn't have such a big, strong guild presence because the thing is, you can spam trade chat as much as you want, saying, like, oh, the Alliance are trying to take Orgrimmar, like, we need all the Horde people we can get. But as soon as you type that into our AIE guild chat, it's like we have 12 or 13 co-guilds now of, like, 1,000 people or 500 people or whatever the limit is per guild. We've hit the limit on so many of the guilds that we have to make more. So, I mean, you throw that into guild chat, and then you have, like, hundreds of Horde that just descend on wherever the Alliance is attacking. And we don't have to be coordinated, right? Because we're just defending. So it's pretty easy when you're the defender, and it's fairly one-sided. I really like Battlegrounds, and I'm going to do more of that, probably stream it this weekend.
Cool.
But, yeah, I find that just generally, like, world PvP type stuff, it's pretty one-sided on my server.
Yes, so there are a few servers out there where people they primarily play Alliance.
Yes. Oh yeah. Well, there's our kind of, I guess, sister guild or whatever. It's not even official, but most of the people in AIE, if they want to play Alliance, they go to Airy Peak and play in the Convert to Raid guild, and
Okay.
they're Alliance. And so basically, Airy Peak is not twinned with Earthen Ring, so there's no cross realming stuff like you're never peer friends sort of thing, which is
Hmm.
why Convert to Raid is a non Earthen Ring, is because we want to be separate. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm really really enjoying it. WoW is getting I don't want to say stale for me, but I'm at the point now where I'm just kind of like I have things to do. I could do more old dungeons. I could do more old rep grinds, but I'm kind of falling flat, and PvP is
Mhm.
really getting me through everything that like keeping me in the game, giving me something new
Yeah.
to do, and it's exciting. And I think Smite actually has a lot to do with that because every time I play Smite, I'm like I really just want to go play WoW PvP, and I think it's that view, that third person type
Sure.
view,
Hmm.
pulls me back into WoW every time.
Yeah. Man, there's lots of other games out there. Maybe give WoW a break. Take advantage of your I don't want to say lack of interest, but like waning
Waning.
interest. It's not a lack of interest. You still
Yeah.
have interest in WoW, but and the expansion is going to come out, and then
Hmm.
then you are going to have like you're going to be
Then that's going to
hardcore
be
into it
all in it.
again.
Yeah.
And you're not even going to need an excuse.
Hmm.
So it might be a perfect time to give it a break. So then when
Well, and
Warlords of Draenor comes out, you enjoy it that much more.
I have been playing WildStar actually. Joel and I have been
Oh,
playing
perfect.
together, and I'm enjoying it. It's a little hit and miss. I find that where I'm trying to learn the lore, I find like I was already a little bit steeped in WoW lore. I had an idea of what was going on. There were still some bits that were disjointed, but I got the general gist of it, and I knew the overarching story because I've been listening to podcasts, I've been listening to Scott, and I'd been listening to the instance, even though I wasn't a WoW player at the time. So I knew kind of what was going on. In WildStar, I have no idea what's going on. So I find that it's disjointed in that I have to stop all the time and read a journal or listen to a data cube or, like to get the whole story. It's really hard. Like I do a quest and then it's like, oh, okay, now read a novel, and then do a quest and then okay, read a novel. But overall, I'm enjoying the experience. I'm trying really really hard not to listen to any WildStar podcasts and not to follow any hashtags or anything else because it's very very spoilery. I find in general everyone, and this is a maybe not problem, but definitely symptomatic of just the games industry and fans right now is that like everybody races to finish the game as fast as possible, which means like Wildstar's been out for a little while now. There's already been two huge content patches, so everyone already knows what happens at level 50. Well, I don't know what happens, and I don't want to know what happens, and it might take me 6 months to get there. So finding it really hard to kind of just keep to myself, and even sometimes in-game chat is like when people are like looking for groups or whatever, it's like, oh man, watch the spoilers. I'm playing it through as fast as I can.
Yeah, I remember playing WildStar and finding that there's this huge info drop on you because you have no vested interest in it unless you like paid attention to the dev as they were ramping up to launch. So when I was playing, it's like, okay, I have two choices here. I can just play for the gameplay, or I can really double down and read every quest and actually understand what's happening because there's not enough VO that you can get by.
And I find
There's
that
just lots of text.
it doesn't often match the text. Like you'll
Mhm.
have the person saying something that is different than what's in the quest or different than usually the data cubes are good. They're like they are giving you information, and what is in chat is exactly the same as what's being said is exactly the same as what's written out, so that one's not a problem. But I find anytime you're interacting with an NPC, it doesn't always match, and sometimes it's really far off, and I'm just like, well, okay, wait, what story, what do I have to know, what's just flavor, like it's hard to get a feel for sometimes.
Hmm. Yeah, but I dig it, and I mean, eventually you'll get around to understanding all of the lore. But I think the more you play of WildStar, there's still going to be text. I don't think we're quite at that point where I wish VO was just more important. enough that they would put it in there. I mean, with SWTOR it was great because
I was just gonna say SWTOR. I was.
that's the only reason that SWTOR was awesome was because
It's so
everything was voiced,
It's
you know?
so unfortunate that it failed because I mean it just and I say it failed. I know that there's still people playing. I know that there's still people loving it, but I mean it just didn't do as well as it could have. And given the investment that they put in to do all that voice acting, it failed. Like they never got their money back on that.
And the only reason it's still running is because there's too much, they're in debt too much, like
Yeah.
and they at this point they can basically have this is my opinion based on what I've heard. I mean, when you don't hear anything about a game, you just kind of have to assume that it's being run by a skeleton crew and they're putting out just enough content to keep people happy, at least the current players happy. And I know it's free to play, and I'm sure they're making some money, but um, yeah, like that's the one thing that I find pulls me out of games these days is that like just I know it's laziness, but I don't want to read. I don't want to read a block of text because WildStar is great because they put emphasis on the action in combat. So you're like dipping and diving and making sure your arc cone or whatever matches where the enemies are, and you're shooting and you're getting out of their arcs and stuff. And the combat's very dynamic. But then and you're like, yeah, I did it. I completed the quest. You go to turn it in. It's like, okay, right. So and so said that. Okay, yeah. And then you click the accept button, and then oh, now I have to read my dialogue.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
exactly.
perfect. And then your buddies are like, "Come on!" Like the people I play with, they don't can't be bothered to read,
Mm,
so they're halfway down, the path, like killing other things. And I'm like, "What are you guys doing?" And I'm always running behind.
yeah.
So
I feel like
yeah,
that too. Even like when I'm not grouped with anyone, just when I'm generally playing, there are still a lot of people who are playing the game, obviously, and who are creating new characters and who are having a great time. And it's not so overpopulated that you lose track of people. Like, I can see when I log in, usually there's two or three other people that are clearly just doing their own thing at various stages of the quest line that I'm on, and they're
sure.
running around, and you see like, oh, the little female Orin and the like human whatever spell slinger dude, and you know who they are. They're very obvious in terms of like being players, not NPCs, and you know what quest they're on because you're on the same one, so you're going
Mhm.
the same places as them, and then before you know it, 10 minutes later you just never see them again because they're
Yeah.
going so fast. And it's probably people who've already completed the game, who already have level 50 characters, and these are alts, but it
Mhm.
just like it makes you feel so slow. And like I find too, because I'm not playing WildStar exclusively, because I'm mixing it up with Smite and WoW, and to a lesser extent Hearthstone, because Hearthstone doesn't actually have targeting and everything. It's a card game, so it's different controls. But um, and then you toss, Heroes of the Storm in there too, and it's just like when you're switching from game to game to game, I need a good 20 minutes to get in, remember my combat, remember my stats, and like,
Mhm.
wait, okay, what do I push to get here? How do I do this again? And by the time you get into it, you're just like, okay, and now reading. Read. And
Yeah.
then
No.
combat. They do a pretty good job, I find, with giving you a bunch of quests, having you go out, and then since it's a sci-fi game, you have a communicator, so you can kind of auto turn stuff in. You don't have to go
Sure.
back. And then the quest line seems to do what WoW did in the last expansion with Miss, is that you have a quest hub, you get all the quests, you finish all the quests, and you move forward. Like you don't have to go there and back and there and back and there and back. So WildStar has that going for it. In terms of design, I really like that.
Yeah.
But I
It's really
find
well written too,
it is.
like
It's
the
very
text is great.
interesting. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's why I can't skip it. If
Yeah.
there was like spelling and grammar errors, or the story didn't make sense, or it was just a load of crap that I didn't care about, then yeah, skip it. Play it for the combat, because the combat is stupid fun. But
Hmm.
I find I really want a controller more than anything,
Hmm.
and I don't want to skip the lore. So that makes for a very slow play experience for me. So
Hmm. Yeah. But like, okay, so that stuff aside, like the other cool thing that WildStar has going for it is I feel like the look. It's really taken that WoW aesthetic of the cartoony, stylized look, and I feel like WildStar may, if it proves popular, could have the same legs as WoW on the graphical standpoint. I think it looks great. And
So, what else have you been playing? Have you, wait, did you say you have? Sorry, what? I was totally not paying attention. I was
I
reading the chat
know.
room.
Well, it's fine. I was just saying that WildStar looks great, and I have been playing something else. Speaking of long reads of text, Marvel Heroes 2015, the game we played while you were raiding, and yeah, that's a game sort of like
So,
Diablo
I was going to
MMO.
say, is it an MMO? Because I've heard
Hmm.
that it's an MMO, but I don't know. Yeah. Explain,
Okay.
because I've also heard people say it's Diablo, so.
It is okay. It is like Diablo in the sense that it's a top-down isometric third person action RPG where you play as your heroes of the Marvel universe. I picked Captain America because
Nice.
as you know, I like throwing my shield around willy-nilly and hitting people with it. The only difference in this game is
I
that
just
you
love
have
the
a
actor.
well, he doesn't look like Chris Evans,
Aw.
but I like to. Well, that's not true.
Never
You can
mind, this game is
actually.
crap. Moving on.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you mentioned that because I just remembered. It is free to play, and the way they make their money is by buying heroes, by buying skins, and you can specifically buy the Winter Soldier Captain America skin with his,
Cool.
just a couple buttons down, up, down, so you can up, down.
Up, down, up, and down.
That's not what you want, right? You want them both down. No, no, not
Yes.
up, down. Yeah, just a little bit. Just get a little
Unless they're
bit of
from the
that.
bottom, then up is acceptable. Took you a second to get that, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. But now I get it. Now you get a little at the top, you get a little at the bottom, you get some abs, you get
Up,
some
down.
pectoral, I think, or is that what it's called? Um, that got really weird. But no, it, it's an MMO in the sense that you have tons of people running around in the hub world, and you also have people running around in the semi-instanced areas. I was playing with Jim, Derek, and Lou last night. I don't know why I put emphasis on Lou, but Lou was Captain America. Maybe that's why we were both Captain America. So that's the problem is that it's not unique unless you have different skins, and because the skins are purchasable, a lot of people don't have different skins. So there's two identical Captain America running around, and then Jim was I almost said Pink Panther, the Black Panther, and Derek was Colossus, I think. So we were tearing things up, and when you're down in the world, you're sort of like progressed by Agent Coulson coming on saying, "Hey, Venom's in the area. You should go beat him up." And I'm like, "Okay." And as you
Is
walk, you'll
that literally what he says? Like, you should go beat him up? Or is there more of a story to it than that?
there is more of a story. I didn't read any of the text because if I had, it would have been I was streaming live, so it would have been like, "Oh, okay, I got to read this question." Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay, okay, I'm ready to go, guys. What I occasionally do is kind of like read little bits of it and then move on. But it has really cool cutscenes to it. Like they're like like motion comic art cutscenes. And
Okay.
yeah, so it's nice and stylized, and I let those play through, and that gives you the gist of the story, which is like Spider-Man's kind of a dick and doesn't take responsibility for his mistakes, and some dude comes in and steals like a tablet that they had,
Like a
and then
tablet, like an iPad, or like a tablet, like from Egypt?
yeah, old school tablet like
Okay.
Egypt. Um, and Spider-Man's like, "Whoops, I guess that happened." And then the tablet like ends up in Doctor Doom's arms, who's got this glowy. It's comic books. I don't really
Yeah.
understand it. You know,
Yeah.
like so we were
And then
having
you got to
fun.
hit stuff, and you were like, sweet.
Yeah, and I was just throwing my shield around and was bouncing off everybody, and um, I, it was all right. It's all right. I feel like it works well for what it does, but there's just something about it. It was just missing something for me.
Hmm.
I can't quite put my finger on it. It might have been the fact that the story wasn't hitting me very, very well, but I was having more fun the more time, the more time I spent playing with others. I started playing on my own, and it kind of felt a little bland.
Hmm.
It doesn't quite have that charm that Diablo
I
has.
was gonna say, in terms of like being Diablo-ish, does it have the same sort of like constant loot gratification thing, or is it just strictly like
Hmm.
you're
Yes and
on it?
no.
it's like, because I don't think I would play something like that if it was WoW-ish, MMO-ish. If it was just like loot from quests and then every once in a while you get a drop off a creature or something, I would be,
Yeah.
or well, I guess a villain probably. Probably don't just run around like punching people in the face. Are you gonna drop something? Pow! How about
You
you?
do.
Pow!
The game opens on the street where like there's some ruckus going on down the street, and this cop's like, you go talk to the cop, and the cop's like ticketing somebody. It's like, even though there's villains afoot, someone has to ticket these cars. So I'm just like, what are you talking about, man? Like Venom's down the road, like beating people up. So I just like punched the car until it exploded, and then the cop ran away. But you are literally just running around punching things, and that's your main attack. And you've got like a couple other attacks. I think my main concern with it was there's just too much going on. Like you mentioned, the loot gratification. The loot gratification would be there if it just wasn't so like craziness. Like stuff's always dropping, and your inventory fills up super quick. You're picking up items for other heroes too, and that stuff you just kind of have to like either not sell but like donate. So like all free to play games, it just has so many of these stupid systems for you to like either grind your rep up or whatever, or just pay it and ignore those systems. So it gets in the way of enjoying the game because there's
Mm.
just so many hurdles. So that kind of, I just like that as well. I found like inventory management was awful. Everything's super small, and you're trying to determine like, is this actually a bonus to me? Is it going to matter if I equipped it and down the road I'm just going to get something else?
Yeah.
But it was fun though. Like that all being said, I was having a lot of fun roaming around as Captain America and with Black Panther and
And
Colossus just
it's free
tearing
to
stuff
play,
up.
isn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, it's free to play, and I told the guys like, you know what, I actually did have fun with this. We'll have to come back to it. Like Smite, there's a bunch of like promo codes you can get. So if we're playing it like once every couple months, like there's always a promo code in there to like boost your XP or your health or your damage or something. I think you dig it. Like you're into the Marvel, obviously, not just because of Chris Evans. I mean, I hear Thor is really hot too.
Eh.
So no, you don't like. You're not a big Thor guy.
No, I'm a Captain America girl.
Oh, okay. Is that like a Team Jacob team?
I
What's his
don't know.
face?
I don't know. I just yeah, Thor is never really. He's weird,
Is
man.
it the hair?
It's kind of the hair,
Yeah.
a little bit the hair, a little bit the like weird Asgard talk. Sometimes it's funny when he just doesn't get things, and other times you're just like, come on, Thor. You've been here how long? Wrap your head around coffee.
Well, I'm pretty sure Natalie Portman just keeps him in a closet. Like, it's like, nobody else is touching my Thor.
Probably.
Yeah, she's kind of weird. When you remember when that movie where she shaved her head? What was it, V for Vendetta? I'm
I
pretty
don't
sure
know.
actually someone did that to her, but
Probably.
I digress. Yeah, Marvel Heroes. You can't play as a bald Natalie Portman, but you can play as a female Loki. So
Nice.
yeah.
Which is totally a cosplay thing. I didn't
Hmm.
realize, but apparently, like, female Loki's a thing. I think there's some comic where, because everyone was making such a big deal about Thor becoming a woman, and everyone's like, Loki already did that because he's like the trickster or whatever. So apparently,
Yeah.
at some point, he was a female. So that would explain why female Loki is a cosplay thing. But yeah, the number of girls I saw dressed up as Loki at HowlCon was
Really?
weird, because I didn't see like any dudes dressed up as Loki, but for some reason the girls just like latched on to Loki. It was weird.
That's another reason. That's another thing that threw me for a loop last night was that I think I'm not a big comic person, and
Hmm.
I think you have to be to love this game,
Oh,
like
probably.
truly get into the lore of it, because you're seeing a comic book nerd's like dream. Like everybody's in there, everybody's interacting. To me, I'm only versed in the movie universe, so I see Spider-Man next to Wolverine next to Captain America, and it's like wow, that's like Marvel and DC being in the same thing, you know? I think the movies have kind of like compartmentalized so many parts of the universe that I think it does it a disservice, especially if you're coming in just for the movies. So it was really weird, like as Captain America beating up on Venom. It almost felt like it didn't belong,
Well,
which I know it
that's all
does.
still Marvel. It's
I
just
know
that,
that.
like, yeah, I was gonna say that it's just that Sony owns the Spider-Man
Mhm.
franchise, which is why it doesn't get done with all the other Marvel movies. So,
Which is why I cannot wait until like my kids go to see these Marvel movies once they're rebooted and they'll actually get the versions that my parents were reading about when they were kids.
Before licensing messed everything up.
I know.
So, before we move on to our topic of the week this week, I just wanted to say that Ryan and I really appreciate your continued support of our show, along with the support of our sponsor, Doghouse Systems. You can use the code TheGamersIn to double your RAM when you purchase a new gaming rig. Head on over to doghousesystems.com and get your order on. That brings us to our topic of the week, and this week we are talking all about EA Access subscription. Like, dude, maybe you should explain it, because I feel like I just read this and I just went, oh, ragey, rage, rage, rage.
Really? I will have two words to make you enjoy this piece of news, but only if you're buying an Xbox One,
I am
because it's
not.
only on Xbox One. So ignoring that fact, we have that Electronic Arts is putting out this EA Access business, which is a $5 a month or $30 annually, which isn't a bad deal. Really, it's a bad deal depending on what they do with it. So what
I'm
you're
making a
getting
face
is,
at you right now.
I know, but I can't tell, so I'm just, according to Skype, you've just been smiling for like an hour. I don't know, is your face hurting right now? I just, no? Okay. So you get four games, including the beta, which is FIFA, Madden, Peggle, and Battlefield. Um,
Okay, so I think I'm just gonna, sorry, I'm stopping you right there because I think
mhm,
that that's what maybe I didn't understand. And I read a few different articles about it, and they all use the exact same verbiage, which was basically you get access, or, these games are included, but are they giving you those four games? Are they yours to keep forever? Or are
mhm.
they like everything else EA, and it's on our servers? It's access. We will take it away whenever we choose. Because that's totally what I'm picturing is like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, you totally get these four games because reasons. And then you get totally into playing FIFA because you never knew that you liked sports games, because who likes sports games? And then all of a sudden one day you go to log into your system and it's like, oh, now you have beta access to some random game you've never heard of and not FIFA anymore because it was access subscription. Like,
I
it
mean,
just, yeah, it feels so fishy to me.
I know. Well, what you're describing isn't new. Like, I'm sure the way it works is that as you have a subscription, you have access to these games for free. It works the same way with PlayStation Plus. It works the same way for games with Gold. The only difference is that EA Access is on top of both those services, which are required to play online games on those platforms. So I can
So,
understand that
but
issue that you have.
with PlayStation
Hmm.
when and Xbox, and I've never done it, so it might be that
Sure.
I've just never actually followed through. But what I always understood with like Xbox Live Gold, when they give you a game, they give you a game. They don't give you a month of access to that game, right?
Okay, so they give you the game and it's applied to your account as
Yeah.
long and you can only access it as long as you have an active subscription
Okay, which
on Xbox One and PS4. Now the Xbox 360,
not the same
because
as
the
full on owning it, but
well, on the 360 you do own those games because they kind of grandfathered the 360 into the plan and probably didn't have the infrastructure to make it work the way it
right,
does on
okay.
Xbox One.
So that's what I thought, because I don't
Mm,
have an Xbox One, I don't have a PS4, and I think the one time that I did do it, I like downloaded and installed and own a copy. I can't even remember what game it was, but
sure.
it like there was no it lives on the server, it's an access thing, like it was just a full on like have a free copy of a game. It was like the first month or two it was a AAA title. I can't remember which one it was now, but obviously I played the crap out of it and loved it.
Well, and that was a case of you, in all these cases, you are downloading the game onto your hard drive. It doesn't exist on the cloud. It just does an authentication to make sure that you have
Mm.
an active subscription with those four titles. Now, the service, and people, don't get me wrong, I still think it's, I think the value might be there if they add more to the system, but I'm not like, I don't have an Xbox One, so I'm not totally on game with this. But you also get 10% off all EA digital titles and 5 days early access to sports, and Dragon Age.
Yeah.
So
So
that's kind of neat.
I think that what bugs me, not
Mm,
necessarily just about EA access, but just the game industry in general,
mhm.
I'm really starting to dislike the whole early access concept.
Sure.
Like, either your game is ready or your game is not ready. Stop selling me 5 days of extra game time. Give me the game or don't give me the game. It's right up there with pre-orders. It's just like, if your game is worth 75 bucks, just charge everybody 75 bucks instead of saying like, okay, if you want to wait an extra week, you can pay 60 and the people that want it early can pay 70. Because realistically, if you buy EA Access now, then you're paying either $30 to get early access to Dragon Age Inquisition, or you're paying $5 a month until it comes out, which is when again? Like 2015 now or something?
November.
Are
I
you
think you're
sure it hasn't been delayed? Because I feel like
it,
everything got
it
delayed.
did get delayed, but only to November. And I think a lot of people, including you, are kind of nitpicking like specific parts. The other great thing about these subscription plans is that we don't have to buy them. I'm not going to buy it because I don't own an Xbox One. I would consider buying it for early access to Dragon Age Inquisition. Those 5 days mean I get to play a game I've been anticipating for 3 years, 5 days early. Your
Yeah, but
progress
can't you just wait
continues
5 more
over.
days?
Okay, I'll ask you this: if Nax became early access to you because you purchased it outright and you got it 5 days early, would you wait those 5 days, or would you be super excited to play it 5 days early?
If it was the same price and it was like a pre-purchase thing, then absolutely. If it was
Yeah. Okay.
more
What if it
money
was
for early access, then I don't know, man. Like
extra $5? That's what you're paying here. An extra $5. Would you do it?
for
And
five
answer
days early
honestly.
access, I think, okay, so me personally,
Hmm.
Jocelyn that goes to work every day, Jocelyn, not Jocelyn podcaster Jocelyn, would not. Jocelyn podcaster Jocelyn would feel obligated to play it as soon as possible to get a review out.
And you wouldn't
So
enjoy it until those
Nax
5 days are up, correct?
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But
I
if
understand.
if I was just left up to my own devices, if I didn't do Angry Chicken, then no, I wouldn't pay for 5 day early access. I would just play it when it came out. I don't like this whole culture that's being
Yeah.
cultivated of anywhere from 5 to 7 days of early access. And I know that I got and played Elder Scrolls early access, but that
Hmm.
was early access was bundled into the package that I bought, and I bought the package for the cool statue. I didn't buy the package for the early access. If early access was the only perk, I wouldn't have gotten the deluxe, not Inquisitor edition,
Sure.
Imperial edition.
And I mean that's a valid point, and I'm even saying that I would only do it for specific titles. Like I don't enjoy EA games enough to want to pay them $30 a month to. I mean, I assume eventually it'll pay for itself if you buy a lot of EA games.
Well, and
If
that's
you're a
kind
big
of the
sports fan,
thing. It's again, it's the same model as a lot of retail stores are doing now with
sure.
their like $20 a year discount cards. It's like
Hmm.
we'll give you 10% off if you give us $30 a year. Well, in order to get $30 worth, so in order for it to pay for itself, you have to spend 300. Did you spend $300 worth of money on EA stuff last year?
Is that math right? Because that's crazy if it is. $300 to make your $30.
Yeah.
Wow.
10% of 300 is 30.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, okay. No. 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 I mean, no, not at all. I
No,
mean, unless
no,
you,
no.
that's crazy. So when you put it in that perspective, then yes. But that's where I think these free games come into question. Like, you know, are you getting a good value by getting Battlefield 4, Peggle 2, Madden, or FIFA for free?
Hmm.
Um,
Well,
and
and sorry, Hyler92 in the chat room says that he thinks it's basically like Netflix, and that I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at. I very much enjoy Netflix.
sure.
So far, I've only been burned once on Netflix, but I have been burned by me watching something, getting into it, and then having the deal expire with the content provider and having it no longer be available. So I get halfway through a show and then it's not available anymore. So, I mean, I think I'm a little bit more okay with it in a Netflix context because the majority of what I consume on Netflix is movies, which are anywhere from 2 to 3 hours or an hour and a half to 3 hours, depending on what the movie is. So that is, I can sit down, I can digest it, like I watch the whole thing, and I'm done with that piece of content in one sitting on one day. I'm not going to, wake up the next day and have it not be there anymore. If I get super into FIFA on like Monday and then they do a refresh on Tuesday and it's not there anymore, like that's potentially, when you talk about the number of hours that we sink into video games, you could be talking about 50, 60, 70 hours of content that you are now you don't have access to. You know, it's not quite the same as a movie streaming service.
Yeah. No, it's not exactly the same, and Netflix has burned me too. I mean, we just did a movie episode of Zamp. We were gonna watch Night of the Living Dead 1990 remake, which was probably gonna be awful, and instead it got pulled the day of, so we had to watch Reanimator, which was probably 16 times as awful. So I went to bed not only upset, but a little like the movie was just disgusting.
No, it's
Um, yeah, and I'm sure a lot of these EA titles, like I don't like, I would probably get sick if I had to play FIFA or Madden. I'm not a big sports guy.
hmm
Peggle 2 sounds great, but the interesting thing is that Sony agrees with you, Jocelyn, at least according to their
See, me
statements.
and Sony were buds.
Yeah, you and Sony, like Shohei Yoshida or whatever his name is over here, like saying like this Jocelyn character, she's all
She
right
knows.
because she does not like EA Access either. I think like an unnamed person was actually quoted as saying, "We evaluated the EA Access subscription and decided it doesn't present the kind of value that PlayStation customers have come to expect." And Sony's been doing a great job of putting companies in their place.
Mm.
And whether or not this is Sony being like, shit, why didn't we get this? And they come up with this great statement. I don't care. A lot of people have been saying like Sony's just saying this because they didn't get it. And I think that's kind of the wrong way of looking at this. I see it as like that EA Access thing isn't a crazy huge value. You see what you're getting with PlayStation Plus.
I think that if I got EA Access and it
Hmm.
gave me 10% off on digital Xbox One content, that would be something that I would consider. Because if you look at, then your $300 price point, you're looking at, five or six Xbox One titles over the course of a year.
Sure.
Absolutely, I'm going to exceed that $300. Assuming I have a system, I'm probably going to buy a game once or maybe, once every month or two. So then, yes, this makes sense because then you get your 10% discount and you get your bonuses on top. And, if all of a sudden Battlefield is no longer available and you can't play anymore, then, whatever, because really what you're doing it for is that 10% discount. It seems like they're giving a whole lot of little things to try to, and I mean, it's probably because I'm just tainted in my view towards EA, but it feels
Aren't
like
we
they're
all?
trying to give you a lot of little things to trick you into giving more money than you should for the service that they're providing. They
Yeah.
say just like, oh yeah, we'll give you this little thing and this little thing and this little thing and this little thing, and look at all the little things. Don't pay attention to the fact that you don't actually need any of them. Give us money, yay!
I mean, a lot of that can be said for a lot of the things in the game industry, but
hmm
I mean, when you're comparing EA Access to some of the greatest, subscription models out there like Netflix or PlayStation Plus, like PlayStation Plus for August was announced as having Fez, a brand new PS4 title, and like two titles for PS3 and two titles for PS Vita, all for I think it's like $10 a month. I can't remember, but I know it's like $60 for the year. So
hmm
it's a crazy awesome deal because you're getting games that, sure, the argument can be made that some of them you either own already because you wanted to play it, or the games that do get added you would never even touch ever.
hmm
But you still got the multiplayer access in there as a deal. So I don't know
I was
whether
gonna
this
say,
will take off.
so you, I don't know, wait, you have a PlayStation, not an Xbox,
Mhm.
right?
Oh yeah, and I already said
If
like, sorry,
would
go
you?
ahead.
Would you?
Would I? Would I? I only buy two EA titles, and that's Dragon Age and Mass Effect. Basically, only BioWare games.
Mm.
So what I would do is pay the $5 the month of a game coming out, so I could get 10% off that game, and maybe the season pass, and then cancel my
And then
subscription.
cancel it, yeah.
So EA is
Which
getting
is, yeah.
a small amount of money out of me for great value. Like when you look at
But
$5 to
even,
get 10% off, like
well,
that's
but
pretty good.
then if you're
With paying for it.
10% of 60 is only $6, so you're paying them 5 to get $6 off. I will throw a loony at your face just so we
Seriously, you'll
don't.
just here, like Ryan,
Yeah,
take care of your troubles. Here's a loonie.
exactly.
You don't
Like
need to
just
throw it. You can just be super nice.
no, no, no. I will throw it at your face to just hammer home the fact that you don't have to give EA your money. If you need a loony that badly, I will throw
Don't
it
need
at your
that.
face.
But for 5 days of early access, like to me, that's important. You
hmm
know, I can't. I don't know. Like when you look at 5 days, let's take this into effect here. 5 days. What does that put you at when a game comes out on Tuesday? That gives you a whole extra weekend, Jocelyn. Think about it. All right, that's all I have to say. I'm not going to
Okay.
buy it. I don't have an Xbox One, but
No.
I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
Someone's gotta. EA kind of took all their devil's advocates and threw them away once.
Yeah, I don't buy a lot of EA titles. I definitely don't buy a lot of EA console titles. You pretty much covered Mass Effect and Dragon Age. The only other thing that I buy fairly religiously out of EA is anything in the Sims franchise, but I've really fallen off of that just because it takes so much time combined with the whole SimCity debacle that I just, well, that and the new trailer for The Sims 4, their character creation, like when you look at what so many other games are doing, where their main gameplay is something totally different, and they're doing like motion capture and crazy animation and realistic features and all the rest of it. And then you look at the sim faces and they still have like flat lines from like the top of their eyelids to their eyebrows. And it's just like, really? Like, this is the only thing this game does is like character creation and then playing with the characters. And like, you don't really have any crazy hard mechanics. Like,
Right.
what are you doing? So I'm really not impressed with what they're putting forward in that franchise right now. So I have no interest in giving EA any kind of monthly membership fee.
Yeah.
Bitter.
No, you have a right to be, and I'm right there with you. SimCity was
And it
kind of
probably
a,
ties in with Origin.
I actually I shouldn't say that. I did have issues with Origins lately with Titanfall, so Origins still has a ways to go, but it's again just like anything else EA does, it immediately has this stink erupting from it because it is associated with EA, even if it really isn't that bad. And I think that this, like PlayStation Plus, given time, might look like less of a cash grab and more of a value for gamers.
Well, I'm sure we'll see what happens
Yeah.
when it actually goes live.
Sure.
If you want to show your TGI pride, you can do so by heading over to slashloot.com. That is SLASH loot.com to grab yourself a Gamers In t-shirt. They have tons of other awesome shirts, including designs by Carter Johnson like Best Pals, as well as all of your favorite podcasts like Azeroth Roundtable, The Morning Stream, Zombies Ate My Podcast, and The Angry Chicken. So go to slashloot.com and show off your podcast pride. Our listener email this week comes to us from Drakenmensch, which is an awesome, awesome name.
He owns a castle, no doubt.
Oh, completely. You can't have a name like that and not own a castle.
Yeah.
So he was writing in to tell us about gold plastic versus gold paint. And this was spawned by my mention of my Zelda 3DS. So I have the special edition and it's already coming off and you can see the white plastic underneath. And it's not like it's a little bit scuffed up on the actual top, but mostly it's just where I flip it open on the hinges. Wherever the top screen rubs on the hinges is all the gold paint is gone. So the email says, Jocelyn mentioned her Link Between Worlds Edition 3DS with the flaking paint. She may have wondered why not just make, or she wondered why they didn't just make it out of gold plastic, but there's a very good reason why Nintendo has avoided this. 2 words, Transformer cancer. No, seriously. When gold-colored plastic is made, a special additive has to be put in the batch that has different physical properties from regular coloring agents. It was discovered over time that the additive affects the plastic, or sorry, this is way sciencey, guys.
Yeah, there's some science words.
So it was discovered over time that this additive affects the plastic, the way the plastic polymerizes, resulting in a condition akin to osteoporosis in people, to the metal-colored plastics called gold plastic syndrome. Transformer figures with gold color components are prone to this, and even a brand new toy out of the box can see its metallic parts break or crumble like a cookie. If Nintendo had used gold-colored plastic instead of gold paint on black plastic, which actually is not on black, it's white underneath. I know, because the paint's coming off. This would have resulted in every single one of those 3DS units having its hinges snap clean off within a few months at most, if not within the very first week of use. And then he goes on to give us some links to Wikipedia and a YouTube video. It's really, really cool stuff, actually.
Yeah.
So he says, hopefully this will clear up the reason why a bit of flaking paint is the lesser of evil when it comes to creating plastic toys.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that. That's really, really cool. I mean, not the cancer part, but just the like. I
It's an
literally
unfortunate name.
when I'm reading this email, I'm just thinking like I can totally picture me like being super excited, finally got my Zelda 3DS, opening up the box and having it just like crumble into two screens and a bunch of gold dust.
Did
'Cause
you
that
watch
would happen to me.
the video is crazy because it actually uses two Transformer toys. One was a reissue after what you're gonna understand why, and one is the gold painted plastic. And it literally like you can imagine how a kid would play with a Transformer
Mm.
toy, and he sort of emulates that, and he crushes it in his hand, and you could hear that plastic just crack and crumble and just fall out of his hands. And you can imagine how that would have gone over with a $300 3DS. It's kind of crazy.
So, I mean, I guess really what I was a little bit upset about was that like literally within the first week, my
Mm.
paint was rubbing off in those places where there was a little bit of friction, and I am not hard on my 3DS whatsoever. Like
Sure.
I treat it really, really well because it's Zelda, it's special edition. It has a special place in my heart. So I'm really, really careful with it, and it was just like it's like I said, not the back. It's just a design feature, I guess, with the opening and closing of the 3DS as you have to play it. And the paint's coming off, and it's starting to come off kind of just anywhere that it would generally wear based on like just around the edges of the 3DS, where the things go or where the hinges are, and then where my fingers go and stuff. Like it's really starting to look ratty, and it's unfortunate because I've only had it since November. So, I haven't even had it a year yet, and it looks like it's a few years old. Like it's the kind of thing that, you would expect to see something that's had, tons of use and just has been kicked around by a 5-year-old. And I'm like, oh
Hmm.
man, it's so disappointing because it was so pretty. So I don't think that they're going to do anything about it. But I mean, I guess it is the lesser of two evils, and it's really the only thing they could have done. I guess I just wish that there was some sort of like, I don't know, clear plastic coating, or even if it came with like a clear plastic case or something to protect it. Be
Sure.
like, this is a known issue, like they did with the Wiimotes. And they gave everybody the plastic condoms so that you wouldn't hit yourself in the face and like give someone a concussion. So, like something like that. They'd be like, oh, we didn't realize that the wear and tear was going to be so obvious on these units. Here, have a clear thing so you can still enjoy your collector's edition, but at the same time, it's actually usable and you don't have to keep it on the shelf.
Yeah.
So
For the record, don't actually throw a condom on your Wiimote.
no,
That's not.
no, that's their special
Also,
plastic
don't use
Nintendo
those
condoms.
as condoms because
No,
there's holes
no.
everywhere, and that is not good contraceptive. So that's not the right word. Anyways, yeah. So gold plastic, not cool, bro. So yeah, nah. It is the lesser of two evils, but I can certainly understand that. Like, I think I had my new MacBook, and the metallic surfaces are very easily scratched. And I think I had like a USB cable in the upper shelf up here, and I was kind of pulling it out, and the one end came down and hit the MacBook, and now there's like this little scratch, and it's not much, but you see it every time, and I'm sure it's
Yeah.
the same thing with your 3DS, and you're like,
Every time I
"Ah,"
open it, I like flick it open. I'm like, yay, video! Damn it.
and it just gets to you. It just frustrates
Yeah.
you, even though it's like still works. Could be a
Mhm.
hell of a lot
I
worse.
want to
but
go over the whole thing with like clear nail polish or something.
do that. Don't do that. Then it would probably melt
Oh,
for
it'll
reals.
be so much worse. I know, I know. So before we go, we just wanted to take a quick second and thank our fabulous patrons. This week, we have Brad C. Thank you so much for supporting us on patreon.com/thegamersin. We really appreciate it. We've been able to make Gamers in Game Night a thing, an actual regular thing. So either Ryan or myself is there every Thursday night playing with the community, streaming with the community. Normally it's both of us. Summers are tough. We've had a lot of family commitments. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so thank you very much, Brad, for your support of the show. I believe our next goal is we're about halfway there, and it is the redesign of the Gamers Inn website. So if you would like your say in what our website is going to look like, and if you would like your say as to what games we're going to play on game night, and if you want a premium Wait, what's the word I'm looking
If
for?
you want your Gamers in Access subscription to really count, wait, no, didn't we talk about subscriptions not being? No, seriously,
Oh,
it's
uh,
not about. You're
no.
already getting tons of value from the show. We put out an episode every week. There's Gamers in Game Night, as Jocelyn said, and there's future perks, but we can only do them when we hit some of these milestones. And the new website is awesome. We have seen it. It's a thing. It's happening, whether you like it or not. But if you want to stay in it, certainly become a patron.
Yeah, so we want to thank everybody for being patrons of the Gamers Inn. We're really looking forward to doing more game night events. So if you guys want to help us out, that again is patreon.com/thegamersin. The show will always be free. The show will always be live every Friday night on AMove TV, but every little bit does help us make the show that much better for you, the listeners. If you'd like to visit us on the web, you can do so at gamersinpodcast.com. You can find us on AMove TV along with other fabulous podcasts, including Into the Nexus, Campaign Roundtable, Biggest Fan, The Angry Chicken, and AMove Radio. You can follow us on Twitter. You can find me, Jocelyn, at GISGamer. Ryan is at R. Murphy, and don't forget to follow the show at The Gamers Inn. The video versions of most of our episodes can be found on our YouTube channel. I will be updating everything this weekend, so we will be all up to date. That is youtube.com/Jocelyn Moffat. We are also on Facebook and Google+. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at info@gamersinpodcast.com. And remember to give us your Smite drinking game suggestion, and we will enter you into a draw for next week's copy of The Wolf Among Us. Before we go, I just want to give a quick shout out and thank you to Greg Moffat for creating our music. You can find him on Twitter at SoundsInfluence. We'd also like to thank Joel Duggan, who does all of our graphic work. You can find him and everything he does at joelduggan.com. So thanks for staying at the Gamers Inn, and remember, tune in next week. Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Bye.